betrayal, addiction, and a battle for fatherhood. My wife destroyed everything we built together and now wants it back. My wife's obsession with the gym is tearing our marriage apart, and it's turning into a real-life battle for fatherhood in the middle of all this drama. We've been married for a while now, and she's always been the kind to keep herself in shape. But lately, her gym habits have spiraled into something far more intense, and it's ruining our relationship. She's 30, and working out has always been part of her routine. Back in college, she'd go to the gym regularly, but after a while, she stopped, probably because of her hectic schedule. For a while, she just worked out at home or went for runs around the neighborhood. About 18 months ago, though, she told me she was going to start hitting the gym again. At first, I thought it was great. She had more time with her new job and could take better care of herself. But what started as a simple fitness routine has ballooned into an all-consuming obsession. It began harmlessly enough, just going to the gym a few days a week. Then, she started signing up for weekend classes, both Saturday and Sunday. Soon enough, it wasn't just weekends, it was every single day. Then it was twice a day, early morning before work and again after dinner. No matter what, she's there. If she's stressed, she heads to the gym. If something goes wrong in her life, straight to the gym. Even if we argue, she's out the door and into the gym before we can even finish talking. The craziest part is that she's 4 months pregnant, and yet she's still going full steam ahead with her workouts. I'm honestly shocked we even managed to conceive a child with how much time she spends there. Now, I get that exercise is healthy, especially since she's been doing it for years, but this isn't normal. The intensity hasn't let up one bit, and if she misses a single session, she turns into a completely different person. Snappy, irritable, like she's going through withdrawal. It's like she needs her gym fix to function. I've tried talking to her about it, saying that it feels like an unhealthy obsession, but she just brushes me off, saying I'm overreacting. She gets defensive when I tell her I miss spending time with her. She's always at the gym, with her gym friends, people I barely know but she seems to prefer over me. When I suggested we work out together, her response was, "The gym is my time," like it's some sacred space where I'm not allowed. It's not like I'm some out-of-shape slob either. I work out and stay fit. My job requires it, so I keep up with exercise myself. But this? It's different. It's like she's not just exercising, but over-exercising. I feel like the gym has become her escape from everything, including our relationship. She doesn't confront any problems anymore. Instead, she just runs off to get that adrenaline boost. Then nothing gets fixed. The stress doesn't go away, and nothing around the house gets done either. It's gotten to the point where I'm doing everything, cleaning, cooking, you name it, and I'm not expecting her to take on all the responsibilities, but it should be a team effort, right? Instead, I feel like I'm shouldering everything while she disappears into her gym bubble. Even her friends and family have noticed. They've commented on how different she seems, how she's constantly at the gym. Some have even hinted that she might be having an affair with someone there. I mean, I don't want to believe that, but something feels off. Am I crazy for thinking this isn't normal? She keeps telling me it's fine, that it's just her way of coping with stress. But if that's true, why does it feel like she's checked out of everything else in her life? Why does it feel like I'm losing her? Some people have suggested she's just overwhelmed by life, and the gym is her way to feel in control. And maybe that's part of it. But if she's using the gym as her escape, what does that mean for us? For our future? And with a baby on the way, I'm worried about what this could mean for our family. I don't know how much longer I can keep doing this alone. Bodybuilding and intense exercise routines seem to attract a certain type of person, especially those who crave control. After reading more of your thoughts, it's clear your wife fits that mold. Yes, she's overwhelmed with life. She's always been someone who stresses over everything, and her job has only amplified that. I know her workplace has been a huge source of pressure. They've even told her she needs to find ways to deal with her stress, which is partly why she started going to the gym so regularly in the first place. But now it's more than just a healthy habit. It's something she clings to almost obsessively. It's like she's using the gym as a way to manage the chaos she feels in the rest of her life. Another commenter mentioned how they used to spend hours at the gym, running miles and getting stressed if anything disrupted their routine. That really resonated with me because it sounds exactly like what my wife is going through. She's stressed to the max, and the gym is the only place she feels like she has any control. With her pregnancy, it seems like this obsession has only intensified. I think the changes her body is going through have made the gym even more important to her. It's like an escape, something she can control when everything else is shifting. I'm starting to believe it's not just a gym habit anymore. It's an addiction. It's like she's got this obsessive-compulsive need to exercise, and I've noticed that if she doesn't get her workout in, she gets irritable, almost like she's withdrawing from a drug. I mean, we're expecting our first child, and instead of us bonding over this massive life change, she's doubling down on her workouts. People joked that maybe she's pumping iron to prepare for the ultimate baby lift, but it's more than that. It feels like she's using the gym to avoid everything else. The stress, the changes, the uncertainty. Sure, maybe right now she's focused on the gym, but what happens when the baby comes? When we're both doing reps of changing diapers and surviving sleepless nights. That's where the real fear lies. I'm scared she'll continue to escape to the gym rather than face the challenges of parenthood. I've already noticed she avoids problems by running off to her workouts. When we fight, she doesn't stay to talk it out. She grabs her gym bag and leaves, like the gym is her solution to everything. It's driving a wedge between us, and I can't seem to get through to her. I've invited her to work out with me, but she's stubborn about going to her gym and won't even consider joining me at mine. It's like she's built a wall around this part of her life, and I'm not allowed in. I didn't think this was about infidelity at first. She spends so much time at the gym that it seemed impossible she was up to anything shady. I mean, she's in amazing shape, so it's clear she's working out. But after reading all the comments, I started to wonder if I've been too naive. 9 days ago, I was confident there was no cheating, but now, I'm not so sure anymore. The constant trips to the gym, the secrecy, the way she shuts me out. I'm embarrassed to admit it, but it's starting to mess with my head. Maybe I'm overreacting, but it's hard to ignore the nagging doubt creeping in after all this time. Could there be more going on? Or is this just her way of coping with life stress? I wish I knew for sure, but right now, it feels like I'm losing her to this obsession, and I don't know how to pull her back. Man, this situation is spiraling fast. I thought the gym obsession was the real problem, but after what I saw on her phone, it's clear there's way more going on than I ever imagined. Let me lay it out. My wife, who's always been glued to her phone, left it sitting on the kitchen counter while she stepped out of the room. I'll admit, I felt like an idiot for even thinking about snooping, but I couldn't shake how weird she's been acting, and curiosity got the better of me. I figured I'd just take a quick glance, expecting to find nothing. What I wasn't expecting was a text thread with a guy from her gym, the same guy she's mentioned to me plenty of times before, a guy whose wedding we even attended last fall. At first, I wasn't too worried. She has lots of friends from the gym, so what's one more, right? But then I started scrolling. The conversation wasn't just friendly banter. It was explicit. I never wanted to know what this guy's junk looked like, but thanks to those texts, I sure do now. I was fuming. The texts made it pretty clear there's more than just a friendship between them, and I couldn't just let it slide. When she came back into the room, I asked her straight up, "What the hell is this conversation about?" Instead of giving me an answer, she started yelling at me for looking through her phone. I get it. It's not cool to go through someone's private messages, and I told her I was ashamed for doing it. But honestly, I thought I'd find nothing. I was wrong. She kept saying, it's nothing. But from where I was standing, it sure didn't look like nothing. She was way too interested in this guy for it to be innocent. I pressed her, asking how long she'd been screwing this guy. Of course, she kept denying it, saying it wasn't physical. But come on, those texts weren't exactly just friendly. I was so angry, I couldn't stand being in the same room with her anymore. Before I stormed out, though, I took her phone and smashed it on the ground, shattering it. Yeah, not my proudest moment, but I was just consumed with rage. She started calling me all sorts of names for breaking her phone, and then she hit me, right on the back as hard as she could. I didn't even react. I just walked out and drove straight to my brother's place. My brother and sister-in-law were shocked, especially since my sister-in-law had been one of the loudest voices telling me my wife's gym obsession was weird. She's been saying for months that something didn't add up. After I cooled down, I went home, and my wife was in bed crying. She couldn't even call me to apologize or scream at me again. Her phone was in pieces, after all. She tried to make me feel guilty, laying it on thick, saying she didn't know if I'd ever come home. I still took her phone to get it fixed because, even though she doesn't deserve it, I felt a little bad for smashing it. But despite everything, I still don't know the full extent of what's going on. She refuses to admit anything beyond what I already saw, and now she's twisting the whole situation, trying to make me out to be some kind of abusive monster for breaking her phone. She won't give me access to her texts, so I have no idea how deep this thing goes. Was it just sexting? Bad enough, but I'm convinced it's way more than that. She's still lying to me, and I can't shake the feeling that this affair has been going on for much longer than she'll admit. I'll tell you what, the community is right. This is bad, and it's only going to get worse. There's no point in sugarcoating it. My wife is 100% having an affair, and it's physical. She's been lying to me for who knows how long, and what I saw on her phone is just the tip of the iceberg. I've been blind for too long, making excuses for her gym obsession and her weird behavior, but now it's clear as day. I don't know where we go from here, but one thing's for sure. I'm not the bad guy in this. She can try to flip the script and play the victim, but I know what I saw. Now I just have to figure out what the hell I'm gonna do about it. Man, I could feel something was off when she started heading to a separate gym. It's like the affair had already kicked off long before she got pregnant. And let's be real here, doesn't take a detective to piece together the nightmare implications of that pregnancy. Paternity doubts are creeping in, and they're not leaving anytime soon. She's been lying to you, no doubt about it, and she's still pulling the wool over your eyes. The only thing left to uncover is how deep her deception runs, how twisted and depraved it all really is. Don't let yourself think, this couldn't be happening to me. Remember, just a few days ago, you probably thought it was impossible she could be cheating at all. But here you are, knee-deep in betrayal. She wasn't lying in bed crying over losing you. No, those tears were all for herself. She's panicking over what your discovery means for her. Selfish to the core, and it's clear she's never really cared about your feelings. Those tears? They're nothing more than crocodile tears, manipulation, plain and simple. This is bad, like 5-alarm fire bad. It's not just a small hiccup in your marriage. This is the kind of disaster that can burn your entire life down if you don't act now. You can't control her actions, but you can control how you respond. You've got some leverage now, and you better use it while you can. Demand access to everything, her phone, social media, deleted messages. Anything that can expose the full truth. Not because it'll fix anything, but because it'll make it undeniable. You need to see the extent of this betrayal with your own eyes. Buckle up. It's gonna get a lot worse before it gets any better. Man, I really hoped it wouldn't come to this, but here we are. No more giving her the benefit of the doubt. She's been sprinting away from the truth like your marriage was running laps at the gym, getting in cardio while avoiding her problems. Guess now you know why she's been working on those squats so much, keeping those legs strong for running away from confrontation. Makes you wonder if the baby she's carrying is even yours. Update. Not sure if anyone will see this update, but I'm putting it out there because I can't bring myself to write another post in a subreddit today. My wife asked me to stay home from work so we could talk, and man, yesterday was a mess. She spent the entire day lying in bed, hoping I'd feel sorry for her, like some kind of helpless victim. But I didn't give her the time of day. Instead, I left the house and went to my family's Super Bowl party. Honestly, I didn't even want to go, but staying home with her felt worse. The moment I walked out, she kept texting, trying to guilt-trip me. Who just leaves like that when something like this is happening? Or, who's that cold and callous? I stayed home today to face her. She sat there, full of tears again, saying she was so sorry. According to her, those twice-a-day gym trips were legit. Just because she liked it there, apparently. That's where her friends are, and it's fun for her. She admits she met some guy there, and yeah, he started flirting with her. She claims everyone likes him. Apparently, he's some sort of popular guy at the gym. I didn't even realize popularity was a thing at gyms. Well, it is now, at least in her world. She said they started flirting back and forth, but it didn't mean anything. At first, She wasn't really into it, but apparently, he gave her those butterflies, and before she even realized what was happening, she was flirting back without a second thought. She described it like having a high school crush again. Innocent at first. They started texting, and for a few months she claimed it was just friendly. No big deal, right? Except every time she got a message from him, she'd light up. Said she felt giddy, like a teenager with a crush. She admitted she was really attracted to him, but told him she was married, so there could never be anything serious. According to her, he kept pushing it anyway, playing the game, promising they wouldn't cross any lines. And she just let it keep happening until, of course, they did cross the line. She said she tried to resist it for a while, but then one day they kissed. She confessed that she liked it, but at the same time, she knew it was wrong. But that guilt didn't last long, because later that very night, she went back and slept with him for the first time. And here's the kicker. She described it like falling in love for the first time. She said all she could think about was him, like he was living rent-free in her mind, pushing everything else out. I asked her straight up, "Are you in love with this guy?" Her answer, she doesn't know. And then I had to ask, "Is the baby even mine?" She thinks so, but there's that small chance, a nagging doubt, because they were sleeping together when she got pregnant. She says they always used condoms, so she doesn't think it's his, but the fact that she has to second-guess it at all makes my stomach turn. She claims she still loves me, but she just can't help that spark between her and him. She doesn't know if she loves him, doesn't know if the baby is mine, and she definitely doesn't know why she let any of this happen. She just keeps saying she doesn't know what to think or what to do next. And then, the final gut punch. She had the nerve to look me in the eye and ask, "You wouldn't really leave me if the baby isn't yours, would you?" Couldn't believe it. I told her flat out, "Of course I'm leaving. There's no way I'm raising another man's child." She seemed genuinely shocked, like she hadn't even considered that as a possibility. "Really? After everything we've been through? You wouldn't even consider staying? I mean, come on, is she for real?" I told her no, absolutely not. She finally agreed to a DNA test, but the way she said it, so cheerful, like she was doing me a favor, made me sick. She acted like I was supposed to feel sorry for her because her heart's torn between me and this guy. The whole time she was crying. But those weren't the tears of someone who's truly ashamed. They were tears for herself, meant to manipulate me, to make me feel bad for her. For what? That she got caught in this mess? That she's facing consequences for her betrayal? I don't even know who this woman is anymore. Now, the good news in all this is that she's given me exactly what I needed. The cold, hard truth. All those extra details she spilled, they made one thing crystal clear. I can't stay with this person for one more second. Even if the child turns out to be mine, this marriage is over. No question. Plenty of people co-parent without staying in a broken marriage, and that's the best option here. As painful as this is, at least I'm no longer living under the cloud of uncertainty. The truth is out, and now I can move forward without her. When you're staring down a situation like this, the hardest part isn't knowing what to do. It's actually doing it. There's no sugarcoating it. This is going to be one of the most difficult things you'll ever face in your life. But now, you know with absolute certainty that ending this marriage is the only way forward. No matter how numb or broken you feel right now, you have to follow through. The OP replied, "She's ruined my life, but I just feel numb. I don't even know how to process it anymore. The affair was bad enough, but to keep it going after she got pregnant? I can't believe it. At least if it wasn't for this pregnancy, I could have walked away clean. But now, I don't know. She's almost sure the baby's mine, which means I'm stuck with her in my life forever. This poor kid. My kid will grow up with divorced parents, and their mom will be the one everyone at the gym knows about, the gym bike. Maybe she'll even run off and move near her family, taking my kid with her. But oh, she couldn't leave him behind. The guy who gives her butterflies and sleeps with her in the gym's changing room. What a thrill, right? How do I even blame her? She's destroyed fatherhood for me, whether the kid is mine or not. If this baby isn't mine, and I manage to break free, how will I ever stop thinking about this? Even if I start a new family someday, this will always be in the back of my mind. I was so damn happy to be a dad. We hadn't planned for it, but we picked out names together. I've been there every step of the way. And now, she's done this, not only to me, but to this poor kid, whoever their father is. Yikes. I'm sorry, OP, but you're right, this is like some twisted game of guess who's the daddy. What an absolute mess. It's clear she's not sorry for cheating. She's only sorry she got caught. She had no intention of ever telling you it might not be your baby. She was perfectly fine letting you live in the dark, even while carrying another man's child. Update. And now it gets even worse. My wife is officially moving in with her affair partner. Yup, they're in love. My life has become some trashy daytime talk show episode. The woman I once saw as classy, someone I built a life with, has now turned into the very definition of trailer trash. Today, she announced her plans to move in with the guy from the gym. She's still pregnant. Could be his kid, could be mine. But she's too embarrassed to get a paternity test. She's too ashamed to even have her blood drawn. Like facing that truth would be worse than the affair itself. For the past week, she's been trying to get my attention, like I'm supposed to beg her to stay or tell her I still want her. She's been desperate for me to fall for her pity party. But I didn't. I didn't give her what she wanted. I've ignored her for the most part, and when we've had to talk, I've kept it cold and distant. We're still living under the same roof for now, but I've moved into a separate room. I'm functioning like a ghost in my own house, just waiting for this nightmare to end. I've completely separated myself from her in every way. Her pouting and attempts to get me to notice her, like expecting a gold star for not going to the gym for 5 days, just don't work anymore. Then, today, she texted me. She's moving in with him. Somehow, even after all this, I still care about her as a person. I guess I can care about her as a human being and maybe the mother of my child without staying married to her. But hearing her say she's going to be with him, it still stings. I told her straight up that moving in with him isn't a smart move. I even suggested she talk to a lawyer first, but she brushed it off like nothing I say matters anymore. It's like she's determined to run headfirst into this mess without a second thought. I don't think she needs to move in with anybody, but she can't seem to stand the idea of being on her own. I actually feel bad for her because of that. I asked her if this guy knows she's pregnant and what story she's been feeding him. She said he knows, and get this, he doesn't even care if it's my baby. He loves her and wants to be with her, no matter what. I just can't wrap my head around it. I mean, who does that? You're telling me there's no one else he could be with? He chooses to get involved with a married, pregnant woman carrying someone else's child? Why would anyone take on that kind of baggage? I mean, the guy's scum, sure, but good-looking scum, apparently. He's got a job, a house. So why on earth would my pregnant wife be his only option? It's baffling to me. If this baby turns out to be mine, they'll be raising my kid in his house, and I'll have to share custody. My child will live with them half the time in this twisted situation. How did my life spiral into such a disaster? And she's too embarrassed to get blood drawn? But she's not embarrassed about any of this? Update. My wife has finally agreed to a paternity test. She moved in with her affair partner last weekend, but barely took any of her stuff. Most of her belongings are still here, like she's waiting for me to beg her to come back. I haven't reached out to her at all since she left. Honestly, it's been a strange mix of relief, anger, and sadness. I didn't even eat until last night. I just didn't feel hungry. I drank more than I should have, but I'm holding it together. I'm posting this update because I've gotten so many messages, and it's just draining to respond to everyone, repeating the same story over and over. I don't even feel like talking about her anymore. This morning, she texted me again. Apparently, now her affair partner wants a DNA test done, so suddenly, she's on board with the idea. Funny how it didn't matter when I wanted the test, but the second he asks for it, she's all for it. She even had the nerve to ask if I wanted to submit my sample at the same time because it would be cheaper to test 2 potential fathers in one package. I mean, I don't even care about the cost at this point. I just want answers. And if I can do this without seeing or interacting with them at all the better. I've made the appointment to get my cheeks swabbed this Saturday. Once that's done, we should have the results within a week. At this point, I'll take what I can get because it's better than dragging this nightmare out for another 20 weeks. So that's it. I'm just trying to function. Go to work, get through the day, but I feel completely stuck in limbo. Honestly, I miss her. I hate that she's there with him. It makes me sick. There's still a part of me that wants to beg her to come home, but I won't. I can't let myself sink that low. If I find out this baby's mine, and she's still with him, it'll only get worse. Unless he dumps her when he finds out, the whole situation is unbearable. But I won't play her games, no matter how tempting it is. The community had some thoughts like this one. I guarantee you that her affair partner only agreed to move her in because she told him he was the dad. Now that they've had a real conversation beyond locker room quickies, he's realized there's a chance the baby might be yours. That's why he wants the DNA test, to confirm if he's the father before doing anything else. If it turns out you're the dad, I bet he'll send her packing. If I were you, I'd have those divorce papers ready and change the locks. She moved out on her own. It's not her home anymore. And while the divorce might not be finalized before the baby's born, you can definitely get 99.9% of the way there. Another suggestion was about telling her parents the truth. She should also tell her parents that she's moved out and is living with her boyfriend/baby daddy now. They should call her at his place, not yours. You don't need that added stress. I responded, I'm positive that's exactly what's happening. If the baby's mine and he kicks her out, what do I do then? I can't just let her be homeless, especially if she's carrying my kid. I'm not letting myself think too much about the what-ifs, trying to take it one day at a time, but that's easier said than done. It's wild that I lived with her this long, even after all this. Seriously, though, her sudden move into the love shack with her gym buddy feels like something out of a trashy reality TV show. I've got to give myself some credit for keeping my cool while we were still under the same roof. It was like starring in my own episode of Living with the Enemy. Now that she's out of the house, I can finally reclaim some peace and sanity, even if it still feels like I'm stuck in this weird limbo. No matter what, it's a tough situation. I'm trying to stay grounded and not get lost in all the chaos. But every day feels like another step into this bizarre mess. Sort of feels like we're all in limbo, doesn't it? I suppose her affair partner is stuck in the same place, just waiting to find out if the baby is his before deciding what to do. I wouldn't be surprised if he's the type to cut her loose regardless of the results. Though, guys like him don't exactly scream commitment material. Final update on my wife's affair and pregnancy. So, I had posted this on the Surviving Infidelity sub, but it got deleted, probably because I mentioned wanting to punch someone. Anyway, here's the final chapter in this nightmare. My wife has been having an affair with some guy she met at the gym for almost a year now. She's around 22 weeks pregnant, and when I found out about the affair, she was about 17 weeks along. Throughout all of it, she swore up and down that I was the father, but for some reason, she kept refusing to get a paternity test, even though it was tearing me apart. Recently, her affair partner, of all people, requested the test and we went through with it. The results came back, and the baby is mine. It's hard to explain the mix of emotions I've been feeling. There's been a lot of ups and downs. At first, I just wanted to be done with her, completely free from any ties, especially a lifelong one in the form of a child. But when I got the results, part of me felt some relief. I had already wrapped my mind around the fact that I was going to be a dad months before I even knew she was cheating. So there's this strange mix of joy and hatred. Like I'm excited to be a father, but I absolutely despise her for putting me and our child in this situation. She's still living with him. Her stuff is still here in our house, but I refuse to pack anything for her. She doesn't seem to care about taking her things beyond the essentials. After we found out I'm the baby's father, she texted me, saying she was glad it was me and that she knows I'll be a great dad. She even sent me new baby name ideas last night. She's been trying to call, but I ignore her. I only respond via text. This morning, she asked if she could come by to pick up a few things. I agreed, since my lawyer advised me not to prevent her from accessing the house. But I made it clear that her scumbag boyfriend better not come with her. Guess what? She shows up, and who's right behind her? The scumbag himself. He walks into my house like it's nothing, totally ignoring the fact that I didn't want him there. She runs upstairs to grab her stuff, leaving me standing face to face with him in the living room. He starts saying it's not her fault he's there, that she told him I didn't want him to come, but he forced his way in because he wanted to talk to me. He said he understands how I must be feeling, which just about made me lose it. No, you don't understand, and you never will. Then he had the audacity to say he knows I probably don't believe him, but he genuinely loves her and always knew he wasn't the father. He even tried to reassure me that he wouldn't try to take my place as the dad. I just stood there, staring at him, thinking, how did my life turn into this? The guy actually had the nerve to say he hopes we can get along, since we're both going to be in her life now. He told me that she's doing fine, and he's looking after her. I just stood there, thinking, why in the world does this guy want anything to do with a pregnant woman carrying another man's child? I told him flat out that it's weird. Then I warned him. If he didn't get out of my house, I was going to punch him. I went upstairs to find her, and there she was, rummaging through the bathroom for her things. I asked her, why'd you bring him along? I told her it was beyond strange that he still wants to be with her now that he knows he has nothing to do with this baby. I made it clear that I'm not letting him anywhere near my child. She said he convinced her to bring him and apologized, like that fixes anything. Then, with a straight face, she tells me she's in love with him now. Apparently, he is what 30-year-old her has been looking for. Not me. She's setting up a nursery at his place and told me I can do the same at my house. And oh, how generous of her. She says she has no plans to go for full custody. She actually thinks I should be grateful for that. I followed her downstairs, and sure enough, the guy was still standing there in my living room. Something in me just snapped. I walked straight up to him and punched him hard enough to knock him back into the table. She screamed, "What the fuck?" and ran over to him. I didn't even care. If he wanted to call the cops, fine. He deserved it. This could have all been avoided if he'd just left like I told him to. A few hours later, she texted me, apologizing for how things went down. She said he really meant what he said, that he's a good guy who cares about her and even respects me. Couldn't believe it. I replied, "Respects me? He was screwing my wife in the gym locker room, and you expect me to believe he respects me?" She tried to play it off, saying, "Fine, I'm just trying to have a mature conversation here. I can't help that we fell in love. Believe it or not, I'm not trying to hurt you. I want everything to be amicable." Amicable? The guy stole my wife and now he's setting up a nursery with her in his house while I'm left to pick up the pieces of this mess. Sure, I'm the biological father, but I feel like he's taking my place in my child's life too. I've been trying not to let the jealousy eat at me. I've tried to convince myself that he's just trash picking up my garbage, but deep down it's devastating. I loved her and part of me still does. I know I can't stay married to her. There's no going back now, but the whole thing is a gut punch I wasn't ready for. The paternity test results were supposed to bring some closure, but instead, they just opened up a whole new nightmare. I am the father. And the audacity of her, bringing her side piece into my home like it's some sort of meet and greet. The guy talks a big game about understanding and respect, but every word that comes out of his mouth is complete BS. I feel terrible about where this is headed, and I know I've got a long, rough road ahead. But the last thing I want is to play nice and act like this whole thing is something I can just accept. Navigating this mess without a seasoned legal expert? No way. Trust me. Now is the time to pick up the phone and get a solid lawyer on your side. You're going to want someone who knows the ropes. Someone who can guide you through the chaos and help you avoid drowning in legal paperwork and regret. You'll thank yourself later when you've got a professional handling the tough stuff, especially with everything that's at stake here. So, what would you do in this situation? Share your thoughts with us in the comments below. And hey, thanks for sticking around with us today. Be sure to like and subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on our next video. See you soon.